Hello, you're watching Pride London Network. My name is Anacita Lee, a Pride board member. Today I will be interviewing the legendary Katu, also known as Mz.Affra-Tighty.
Where was I born? Well, my grandmother's bed. There's your answer. And a gay black youth, well, while I was really young, some people know when they're 13, 14, I did not. Everybody else figured it out. I did not. Mine was just dealing with the fact that I was effeminate and my favorite color was fuchsia. It wasn't coal brown green as it was supposed to be. My adopted father and his family at times were nothing but social terrorists and constantly picking. So I knew I was different, but I didn't understand. I had another brother who liked baseball, golf, hockey. I didn't like any of it. I wanted bright colors, lovely things. So it was, even in school, it was, you're getting picked on. And it was everything from having drinks thrown at you, food product, having your big afro. I had a big afro at one point, pulled out. I had the privilege of having my face stuffed into dog dirt and being urinated on by bullies. And that lasted right up until I was about 16. I got a lot of that. So it was very uncomfortable. There were nice people, but nice people didn't do anything. As I said, evil prospers when good people do nothing. And you've only worked laboriously on a ponderous mountain of nothing. That was my experience. A lot of people didn't want to do something because it meant they had to get involved. So it's best to just look at you and go, well, you're just complaining. It's the easiest way to deal with black people, whether lighter or darker. I'm light like Lena Horne, but as somebody said to me, you may be light, but you're not white, but at least you're not that dark. And I have another brother who's very dark, and I was always envious of his darkness in a loving, kind way. And I wanted to be that dark. I thought it was beautiful and perfect. And other people say, well, why do you want to be that dark? Because I think it's gorgeous. And I'm envious in a polite way. In a loving way, I am very envious that I didn't get more color. But I got the mouth, so at least I'm successful that way. Did I benefit from my being of color?
Of being light-skinned?
Being light-skinned, no, not really. Because if you hate black people, you don't care whether they're darker or lighter. You hate black people. Native people experience the same thing. Any others will experience the same thing. I learned in history here that the Irish and the Italians and the Greeks got a beating, and they're considered white, but they weren't good enough to be this. So who would I be to think that I wouldn't get something too? I mean, I guess we all get a turn. The wash is terrible and the soap too strong. But, you know, I didn't get treated better because I was lighter, and I never threw my lighter being at other black people because I was lighter, because you get called a white man. And I'd seen that once, and I never wanted to be that person, and I thought, you're foolish. And I was really angry that he did that, priding himself and pushing down on others. As a black person, I never, because I was punished so many times and hurt so many times, having dogs sent after me when I lived in Manitoba, and even in Ambersview, which is in Ontario, I never thought to look at somebody else and go, well, at least I'm not you. Because it was you. And when you're the only black kid in the class, you wanna know how black is? Be the only one, and you'll learn to fight. And you can't use your fists. So 8 black people walking down the street, it's a gang. But you're the black kid walking down a street and you have no one else. You learn to use your wit, black wit, for nitwit. And I'm very mouthy, and I'm really willing to give it back, or give it black, as I say. I'm not gonna put up with your nonsense. And just because I was lighter, I didn't find that it was easier. In fact, some people would say, oh, well, you must have it easier. And I've only had 2 black people in my entire life say, in a questionative way, not even in a mean way, oh, it must be easier for you. And I go, really? Live where I lived and watch what happened. Being put down and being urinated on. And people go, oh, well, you're just complaining. You're just, because it's black people complaining. And that's all it is. And it's from an old Roman slave manual. You dismiss the concern and the complaint, and you tell them to work harder so that you don't have to listen to them and do anything. I would never want some other black kid to go what I went through. Even when I worked at fast food restaurants in here, people didn't treat me better because I was lighter. They loved my craziness and my big afro and my cuckoo behavior, but I still had the privilege of having burgers thrown at me and milkshake and chased around. I still was allowed to be called kafa and anything else. And when they found out that and they could figure out that I was gay, it didn't make any difference, because as a black male, you're chicken chomping, licentious ridden, chain snatching, home invading, baby making, wild owl simian who doesn't know where the library is. Now you add gay, and you have somebody swinging from chandeliers with feather boas having sex, throwing E-tablets if it was glitter. So, I get all the abuse, and from all sides. But when I want credit, they just don't want to say anything. You're a nice person. Well, you called me down for being black. God damn it, you're gonna call me up for it too. I want the recognition as I got the abuse. You beat me up for being black, you stole from me, you denied me jobs, you didn't pay me all my money for being black. You know what? You're gonna call me black when it comes time to call me out. This big black drag queen is successful because I take the negative and the meanness and I've turned it into something else. I get attention, I've raised money for charities, and my being lighter might be something why people sometimes look at, well, I don't know. And so they just go on. But as soon as they figure it out, if they're hateful, what privilege. Kafa is South African for black. And you would, it's an unkind term, and I remember a woman said it to me at church. I was visiting another church, and she goes, oh, they have kafas here. And I looked and I go, oh, great lady pura, which is for white people. And she looked, and I go, don't even. And her friend didn't say anything, so I called her Miss London. And I said, you didn't say anything, Miss London, because you went to point at me. And I go, no, Miss London, you didn't say anything then, so don't say anything now. I love this expression. I know some people aren't going to like it. You're big enough to cause the problem, you're big enough to fix it. The same time you use to cause a problem is the same time you should be granted to fix it. They're not going to be liked. And in London, blinderism is more prevalent than racism, actually. But the racists know that they can use that to get away with it because they can hide behind the people who just put their blinders on or don't want to do anything and are socially inactive and don't want to deal with it. So the person who is hurt is just complaining. And so since I'm just complaining, I'm going to have fun with it, and I'm going to take it and turn it around and going to make you think about what you said. And I said to an officer one time, we had a big fight and I was being chased after and gone after. I said to the officer, why don't you work at the problem where it started instead of from where it ended up? And I'd brushed off his shoulders and I go, that's right, that's real work, and you don't know how to do it. The color thing, because I have some white family. I have a Native stepmother. She loved me unbelievably. I learned about Native culture and not to be disrespectful, and I admired it. I loved going to powwow as a kid, and I was excited. And now my brother is married to a nice Native girl, and he's a brother by choice, because my sister Sylvia, who I talk about all the time, is a sister by choice. She's Latina. I'm privileged to be able to have, I have a whole package of crayons. Why would you want just a few? I'll take it all. What God gives me for family, I will take, and I will love them all. Some people are hard to love and are nuts, and you have to walk away, and I'm not the only one with that problem. Many of my family members didn't like the fact of the gay thing. A few of them started to accept it. My natural mom went, well, I already knew since you were about 2, so what do I care? It didn't make any difference to her. My adopted father was absolutely furious. And I'd had him since I was about 6, 7 months. My mom married an idiot. That's what I think of him. And he came downstairs one day and he goes, your mom tells me you're gay. And I go, yes. And he goes, why me, why my family? So it's insulting to his family because they like curling and baseball, darts and hockey, and they love politics, and they can talk about accounting and all sorts of other stuff. I didn't have that. And I said to him, did you ever think that maybe there's just a difference because I'm not biologically yours, trying to be nice? And then he goes, well, but yes, and shook his head and goes, well, why me, why my family? I said, I've never been very masculine, jumping up and down strong, kicking a ball around, talking about curling for 5 hours, or even so much as playing darts. I never had that interest. And I was not a science or a tinkering person. I couldn't fix a car if he asked me to. And he just looked at me, he goes, again, why me, why my family? So I'm insulting to him and his family's legacy. Thank God I'm adopted, because you can always walk away from that. It's a piece of paper, rip, 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 gone. I looked at him and I said, did you ever think maybe I'm God's revenge for the way you treat women? And he's went through 5 wives. He's hurt many women, and I've been angry about that for all of my life, because some of those women loved me deeply, and they cared for me, and they put into me, and they gave me. I will never forget them, and I will take what good they gave me. I went to church afterwards. I'm Catholic. And I asked the priest, is there any proof that I am wrong for what I have said? When I told him, I told my adoptive father, maybe I'm God's revenge for the way you treat women. He laughed and he goes, there's no proof that that is wrong, but I'm sure God is getting a giggle out of this. And the nun that walked by, she goes, bravo. The ladies at my church were very applauding. My friends thought it was funny. My mother couldn't stop laughing. And my father looked at me one day and he goes, so you think you're perfect? And he's always calling my mother down, because if you don't like the mother, you call her down. And you're just like your mother, you're just like your mother. Because I also have a mouth and I say something and I go, well, yes, I do think I'm perfect, because you're always telling me I'm just like my mother. So, you know, the words you use, I'm gonna twist them around. Your hateful racism, your finger-pointing anti-ness, your symbolism, I don't like it. I'm going to give it black. I'm going to color your world, and I'm going to use my color to do it. It's a little more quieter and silenter, yes, you'll get the look, and every now and then I'll get, well, your roots are showing. I go, well, at least mine are real, because I didn't do Clairol. And there are those that don't like it. No disrespect, but I'm well noted, and I'm well intended, and I put myself out there. A lot of people in the gay community who would like to, or have in the past said something, don't say it to me now, because I don't want to put up with it. And you're not going to call, like my friend Naomi, the one lesbian had said something in this group about Naomi being nasty, saying, oh, well, look at her, and calling her down for being darker and with the big feathers. And I turned to her, she's one of my dearest friends. I love her unbelievably. Shut up. So it's there, but not every gay person's nice. Not every gay person's kind. Not every gay person will help do charity work. Not every gay person looks after their parents. Not every gay person is respectful or mannerful. And some of them are just dog-ass nasty. Yes, we've got our diversity and nastiness too, and some of them are utterly disrespectful. I want something, so I'll go along with it, and I'll go along with you, and I'll be your friend, and then I'll dump on you when I have the opportunity. It's here too. I'm tired of people putting up a menagerie. Every gay person isn't nice. And I don't put up with everybody. I don't like everybody, but most times I choose to walk away or leave it alone. I don't want to gossip about you, because I want to use my valuable, precious, delicious time on things that matter and people who matter. Yes, there have been many, not so much this last 5 years, that have come up to me and said, oh, you're batty. You're puffalump. There's been all sorts of other words that have been used. And I'm like, what do those words mean? Batty is gay. It's Jamaican slang, Caribbean slang. It's said in many places. And puffalump, I'm not exactly sure where that came from, but I think it's like calling you a cream puff. That's how it was explained to me by an older lady, and I believe she was from Antigua. But there is this because black males are supposed to like baseball and football and basketball. They're supposed to have 5 girls on the go. They're supposed to have 3 kids. They're supposed to be great drinkers. And they're supposed to have no real sense of community or ethics. And where this is all from slave day nonsense. It's not true. And I resented it myself. And I told them, you're feeding into it when they call me out for being gay, for being bati. I don't care. You don't have to like me, I don't have to like you, but we do not have to ruin each other. And I will not be a part of separating the black community and causing division. I will talk about the things that are polite and nice and respectful. If I don't like the issue or don't know the issue, I leave it alone or ask somebody for clarity. But I won't allow somebody to use me outside the black community to insult someone else in the black community, or somebody in the black community to be insulting to another black person. I want nothing to do with that. I don't like bad manners, and I don't like bad morals, and I don't like bad form, and I don't need your nasty language. I want to be helpful. I want to be a good representative. I want to use my face well. I want to use my color well. I want to use my drag queen well. I want to use things well, but I want to make a point that I'm not up to the nonsense. I don't like vulgarity. The introduction of Black Lives Matter in London, I can't tell you how thankful I was. When I heard that it got a real kick, I felt a little bit of relief because I've carried this for years. It's all right to come after me. It's all right to hurt me. But if I go do what was done to me to someone else, I would be prisoned 10 days before I did it and come out 35 years after I should have. And they would call that justice. And it would be seen as apropos and perfect. Black Lives Matter is now shining up a light, and so is Black North, showing up a light that there are educated black people, kind black people, thoughtful black people, people who want change. We know there are problems, but we want to fix them. Not all of us turn a blind eye, and not all of us let our son or daughter act up. Not all of us dismiss ugly behavior, and there's some real ugly behavior out there. Many of us want to make things better. We're not more important than you. We are part of you, and you are part of us. Somebody said to me one day, white people came first, and it was just something kind of funny. They were being miserable. But I said, no, from the lightest you can't get the darkest, but from the darkest you can get the lightest. How's it going, sweetness? And it didn't go over well. In London, gay rights, I think more people now have stopped this clap-chapping and being mean. There's been people that have, will now go, that's not nice, that's not polite. Laws have been enacted and people are paying attention to laws because you can take your arse can be taken to court, you can be sued. And guess what? I may not have money now, you go say this, I might have money. You want to play, there's a law. I don't find the law very helpful. I usually find it tells me what I can't do, where I can't go, what I can't have, what I'm not going to get. And when I do try, this is the repercussions that might come up, and it's usually punishment or dismissiveness. But I have noticed that there are some changes, and people are going, no, it's not always that way. It's not going to stay that way. Thank you, Black Lives Matter. Thank you, Black Lives North. Thank you, religious black leaders. Thank you, Native leaders. Amen. Hallelujah. Bring it on. I think it's probably more silent because you could also find yourself in court. And there are gay people who would shy away and disappear. Some would quit their job and become quiet and regressive like other black people. Suicide rate in black community and the gay community is high, and it's seen as almost like an economic savings development plan. I think now people are looking and going, this isn't right. And people who are hurt, families, mothers, your cousin, grandmother, your uncle, they're speaking out going, no, this happened to me, this happened to this, we're not having it anymore. So gay hatred in London is still there, but now tell somebody you're not getting a job and think you can go, well, you're gay, get out of here. You could do that, from my experience, prior to 2008. This last 5 years, I've heard of some people trying some stuff and they've been called out on it. So I don't think that everybody's blind to it now, and people now are coming out, and sometimes it's their friend or it's a movie star or somebody they like. It's their favorite baseball player, could be a dart league member, but now they don't want that person to disappear from their lives. And it's their coworker that they really like. They go and talk at the water cooler all the time or go for coffee. They don't want to lose that person. This person enriches my life. Now I have a benefit. Now I don't like that nastiness. I want that person. I don't want the nastiness. It is hard to ostracize an entire community when you find out that it's somebody you love and you respect and that you admire. It could be your watchmaker for all I know, but you like that jeweler, that whoever. And if you find out that they're hurting, well, they're a good person. I always like them. This lady serves me my coffee. That gentleman fixed my car. This person took my son to basketball or Sunday school. This gay thing, it's not a big deal in my life. It really isn't. I value my family. I value my baking, my cooking. I value my friends. I value talking to people. I value a nice glass of wine. Gay doesn't come up in my conversation every day. It's not the sum of my identity. I understand it and it's there, but I want to use it to do something right. And that's why being a drag queen of color, that's why being a gay person, and I'm Catholic, and people go, oh, you're gay and you're Catholic? And I go, I'm the only one, right? The only one. I could only be the only gay Catholic. What is my experience as a drag queen in London? Well, I always thought that all drag queens were gay, for the most part. So my experience has been the first 70 years I was putting on drag shows and trying to raise money. I was rejected at businesses. I actually got walked out. I remember being my paper requests were ripped up and thrown in the garbage. I was called a freak. We don't help your kind. And now what it is I walk into a store with a paper saying I'm working for Forward House, St. Legislative YOU, whatever it is. People are like, you don't even have to give me the paper, here's your gift. So it has turned around, and I was told, you don't belong, you're not very London, you'll be dead or in prison or in drugs before you're 21. I remember a teacher saying that to me here in the city. So I'm the oldest 20-year-old I know, and I hope my body and face hold up, and I'm still doing drag and doing charity work and making a difference. It is important for me to make a fool out of foolish comments and foolish people. That's how I'm gonna get you. What would my advice be to the people who are young, who are identifying as LGBTQ+, and forgive me, there's many more letters behind it. Know yourself, love yourself, respect yourself. Because if you don't respect you, they see it and they will come after you to go after you. Get an education. Be the best person you can be. Do not follow bad examples just because it's cool, or it's the hot person doing it. They don't have a vested interest in you for a very long period of time. You do. What you do now may make the rest of your life better or worse. So following some addle-headed nincompoop or some socially ill-mannered and ill-gotten person is not going to, it may be cool now, it is not going to profit you later. I always rebuked those people. I always thought they were awful. Right from 11, I would see this and I go, that's a terrible person. And they didn't want anything to do with it. Yes, I got picked on and beat up for it and called out. A sissy, you're not one of us. Well, I didn't care, because what I saw them as is nothing I wanted to be. Look at those people that are calling you out and calling you down, making your life difficult. Do you want to be them when you get older? Is that the person you want to be? Do you want somebody to think of you the way you think of them? If you can say, yes, I want somebody to hate me or not like me like them, it doesn't matter if it's your mother, your Aunt Matilda, your brother, your grandfather, or the neighbor. And it could be the school teacher or the school bully or whoever. You do not need to be them, you need to be you. So being you means thinking of what's good for you, what you want for you. You don't need drugs. You don't need to be drive into alcoholics. You don't have to run the streets all hours of the night. You can find a library and read a book. I did, and I'm dyslexic. I was given a dictionary and started picking out words. You can choose to be a better person. It's hard as hell. It is not easy. But what do you want? When you look at yourself in 5, 10 years, what do you want to see when you look in the mirror? Do you want to see them or do you want to see you?
Thank you once again for watching Black History Month special programming. My name is Stephen D'Amelio, President of Pride London Festival. And once again, I'd like to thank Anna Lee, Secretary of Pride London Festival, for putting this on. I'd also like to thank Jason Plant for all of his hard work for the video production you're watching right now. Please remember you can become a member at any time by simply joining at pridelondon.ca, and you can watch this and the entire program at any time for free at pridelondonnetwork.com. Once again, we thank you, and please enjoy the rest of your day.